Welcome back to my next Lost Season 1 episode review video. Before I get into that, though, pretty important, if you are caught up to the point where I am and rewatching or watching Lost, or you're just not entirely sure, then you definitely need to take the initiative and pay attention to the episode's title, which of course I'll mention, as well as put in the description. If that happens to be the case, you found out that you're not caught up, it would be my recommendation that you don't watch this video any further to avoid any potential spoilers. And for all of you out there that are wondering, this is actually my fourth time watching the show Lost. Started the show back in season 5, then caught up on everything that I'd missed, then watched the show again in 2014, and then rewatched the show again in 2020. It was late 2019 and into 2020. Wanted to watch it again because I don't remember all the details that happened. I kind of remember the big episodes, but the filler stuff is not fresh in my head. So after this, rewatch the show, everything will be super fresh in my head, and I will be a Lost expert. So with all that said, this will be Lost Season 1, Episode 3. The title of this episode is called Tabula Rasa. And this will be my review, reaction, recap after just finishing watching the episode. So we start off with various characters going through luggage, trying to find certain things to help them survive on the island. We have the U.S. Marshal, and he says he doesn't trust her. She's dangerous, and you have to find her. You have to bring her back. And Jack says his fever is running pretty high, and then the Marshal wonders where his handcuffs are. And then he says, "My jacket pocket," to Jack. She's dangerous. And then Jack goes in his pulls actual mugshot of Kate out of the Marshal's jacket pocket. And then we, of course, have Sayid, Sawyer, Boone, Shannon, Charlie, and Kate decide that it's time to make a camp instead of continuing to walk. They've been walking for a while. Sawyer wants to talk about that other thing, that transmission that Abdul, another great Sawyer nickname, of course, talking about Sayid, picked up on the radio. The French chick that said they're all dead. The transmission been on a loop for how long now, Freckles? Another classic Sawyer nickname. And Kate says 16 years. Sayid doesn't want to tell the others what they heard because it will take away their hope. Hurley asks if it was a dinosaur, and Jack says it wasn't a dinosaur. Hurley sees the Kate mugshot. He says she looks pretty hardcore. Boone takes the gun and clip from Sayid. They decide that Kate should hold on to the gun. Then we have a flashback to before the island events. Kate was sleeping in somebody's sheep pen, and this character that owns this place holds a gun at her. She tells him her name is Annie, and he asks if she's hungry. Kate says she's trespassing on his property because she ran out of money. And then this man named Ray says his wife died 8 months ago and left him with too many chores. If she helps him, he'll give her a fair wage and a place to stay. Dude. Hurley comes over to Jack to tell them that they're back, the ones that were, in the woods or, trying to get that transmission thing to work. Kate tells Jack she needs to tell him something. So she tells Jack about the French woman and the loop that's been playing for 16 years. She wanted him to know. Jack asks anything else, and Kate asks, how is the Marshal doing? And Jack says it's touch and go. And he also tells her when he woke up, the one time that he did, which he woke up more times, he didn't say anything. So he lied to Kate there. And then Hurley asks Jack, what did she say? And Jack says, we don't know anything. That's why I didn't say anything. The Marshal needs much stronger medicine, otherwise he's not going to be okay. And Hurley says we went through everything. And Jack says, what about the overhead cabinets? And Hurley says those are in the plane with all the dead bodies. And Jack can tell Hurley wants nothing to do with that, so Jack says he'll handle it. Jack's looking through luggage, and Sawyer is in there as well. And Sawyer tells Jack, rescue ain't coming. Tells Jack he's not looking at the big picture, Doc. Another nickname by Sawyer. Charlie helps Claire move a suitcase with a wheelchair. Whose wheelchair is that, though? Jin tells Sun that her clothes are filthy and go wash up. Charlie asks Claire about her baby, asks was her husband on the flight, and Claire says she's not married. And Kate introduces herself to Hurley. He runs off to go get more water because he's freaked out by her because she's apparently a criminal. Kate checks the marshal's condition, and then we have another flashback where Kate tells Ray she has trust issues to him. He tells Kate she's got that look in her eye. And then Ray wants her to stay one more night, and he'll drive her to the train station. He says everyone deserves a fresh start. And then the marshal wakes up and starts choking out Kate. She's kind of like leaning over him with her head close to him, so that's why he's able to grab her. And then Jax eventually comes in there to pull the marshal off of Kate. And Kate tells Jack she was just checking on him, and he grabbed her. Jack says all the problems with him, and he says he needs water. Jack says he'll last 2 to 4 days. Kate says, can't you put him out of his misery? And Jack tells Kate he saw her mugshot, and I'm not a murderer. Then we have another flashback scene of Kate. Ray's driving Kate to the train. He knew about Kate and wants to collect the reward money because his mortgage is really expensive. And then we see that the marshal is actually following Ray and Kate. And then we back on the island, we have Michael asking Walt about the bald guy he was hanging out with. And Walt says, that's Mr. Locke. Michael wants to know if Mr. Locke has any kids, and Walt says Mr. Locke said a miracle happened. And then Michael says he doesn't want him hanging out with Mr. Locke anymore. And Walt says he doesn't care about Vincent, the dog that is currently missing. And Michael says he'll look for the dog when it stops raining. And then on cue, it actually stops raining. And then Michael runs as something, he starts looking for Vincent, and then he runs because something it seemed like was chasing him. And then he actually runs into where Sun is bathing, topless, cleaning herself and her clothes. And then back to the marshal. He's in pain as he grunts. Charlie goes to talk with Locke as Locke is making a whistle. Shannon wishes the marshal would just die already because he's making a lot of noise at night. Saeed asks Jack if there's anything he can do to help. Jack says he's trying to save his life. Saeed says rumor has it you can't. Sawyer gives Kate a light so she can start a fire. The marshal tells Jack don't trust a word Kate says. And then Kate grabs the wheel from Ray. This is back to the flashback while he's driving when the marshal's by them, causing him to go off the road, tumble a bunch of times, and his truck, when it finally stops, catches on fire. Kate pulls Ray out of the truck, and then the marshal is right there to put a gun to Kate's head. And then back to present time, the marshal asks Kate, what was the favor? He said the last thing he remembers before the crash was that she asked him for a favor, and then the crash happened. Well, as he asked Kate again, she wanted to make sure Ray got his reward money for ratting her out for his rather large mortgage. And he tells Kate, you really are one of a kind. He says she would have gotten away if she had just not saved Ray. But Kate is not as bad as what everybody thinks just because she's on a mugshot. We'll find out later what that's for. And he asks Kate if he's going to die. And Kate says, yeah. And he tells Kate, you got to do it. Hurley asks Jack where's she at, and Jack tells Hurley she's in the tent. What's she going to do? She's 120 pounds soaking wet. And Hurley says, yeah, but she's strapping. And he finds out that Kate has the gun. So Jack runs over to the tent as Kate walks out. And then Jack yells, Kate! And then Kate looks at Jack, and then from the tent we hear a gunshot go off. Sawyer walks out with the gun. Jack yells, what did you do? And then Sawyer says, well, you couldn't. He wanted, hell, he asked me. Something had to be done. And then we find out that Sawyer actually missed his heart, and he perforated his lung. It will take hours for the marshal to bleed out. And then there's quiet as Jack walks out of the tent. So Jack essentially killed him. That's what happened to the marshal. Because he wasn't going to make it anyway, so he helped him out. And then Locke plays with his whistle on the beach. It's actually a dog whistle, and Vincent eventually comes running out from the forest. And Locke tells Michael, he tells him you should be the one that brings his dog back to him. And Michael says, thanks. So Locke, knowing that there's issues between father and son, makes a whistle to help find Vincent, and then gives Michael the credit for it. Kate sits next to Jack on the beach and says she wants to tell him what she did, why he was after me, and Jack says, I don't want to know. It doesn't matter, Kate. 3 days ago, we all died. We should all be able to start over. And then Hurley found a Walkman, and he's listening to music. Jen goes over to check on Sun. Boone gives Shannon some sunglasses. Saeed throws over some fruit to Sawyer. Charlie puts tape on his fingers, on everything but his thumb, and puts the word late on it, or was it fate? Michael brings Vincent to Walt. This makes Walt extremely happy as as Locke watches this, and that's what ends this episode of Lost. So pretty good episode. It's all focusing on like, yeah, you can be a bad person, but you can also be redeemed sort of thing. I'm going to give it a 7.8 out of 10. And my characters of the episode, I mean, everybody's got a strong performance. Obviously, this episode is geared towards Kate. Jack also is really good. Sawyer is really good as well. And John Locke, just because he's crafty, can make whistles randomly and help people find pets that are missing. So I think those are the standout characters of the episode. But I mean, you could argue for more characters as well. It's a lot of these characters are super fucking awesome. So you've heard everything that I have to say. Now it's your turn. If you're a fan of Lost and you want to help me out with the YouTube algorithm, please make sure that you Hulk smash the like button. Keep in mind, I cover a lot of stuff on this channel, not just Lost. Check out the playlists I have. Walking Dead, Dexter, Game of Thrones, Breaking Bad, Lucifer, Big Bang Theory, Shameless, UFC live fight reactions, movie ranking videos, franchise ranking videos, you name it, I cover it. Share the video with a friend. Put this video on any one of your social media platforms. Don't forget to sound off in the comment section about what your thoughts are pertaining to this episode of Lost. What would you rate this episode? And whom, if you had to choose, would be your male and your female character of the episode? I get it. Lost is hard because everybody does such a good job, but do your best. And then last but certainly not least, don't forget to hit that sub button. You're watching the video anyway. Subscribe to the channel, join the team, show your damn support, and be a part of something special. And you never know what you're going to see on JDev TV.